Welcome to our Fans React. My name is Hal. I'm asking this question straight off the bat after Sheffield United won, Brentford 0. Was that the best performance of the season? It was certainly exciting. It was certainly encouraging. And we've got a panel of Blades who are going to join us and share their thoughts. Yes, I asked a lot of Brentford fans to join us. Yes, they are the first club in the Premier League whose fans have let me down. And yes, that means I'm extra glad that we beat them. Let's bring in Johnny from Shoreham View to kick things off. How are you feeling after that win?
Flipping static. Listen, we've all missed that, haven't we? We got a little glimpse against Liverpool about what it can be like. It was nice seeing what it can be like when we're actually a Sheffield United team that actually goes out, presses, fights, goes for everything. And I couldn't be happier. To come away with 3 points is just an added bonus after that.
It really is. It was a great, great start. And I kicked off by saying, was that the performance of the season? Well, Paul he's decked the halls. And for those that are listening on audio, Paul, can you just describe what you're wearing?
Well, I'm wearing some kind of Santa hat with silver stars on it, which is the nearest to red and white on the actual hat I could get. And there's a reason behind it, rather than me just looking an absolute idiot. It's a bit of a nod to back in the day. You might be too young for this, Hal, but back when Dave Bassett had his Blades, we only turned up from Christmas onwards. So much so there was a famous Christmas party we once held in August with Brian Dean and Brian Gale holding balloons. And I feel that after yesterday's performance, that spirit of that Bassett side and that post-Christmas Blades is back in town. And so I'm full on with it with the Santa hat.
Johnny, do you think, knowing me as well as you do, that I am too young to remember that?
I mean, weren't you celebrating your 21st at that point?
You're wearing well, Hal, wearing well.
God bless you, Paul, and all who sail in you. That was very, very kind of you to say. So, Paul, we're going to kick things off. I asked it. I'm going to ask you, was that the best performance of the season?
Absolutely. 100%. I think we've had games previously, such as the first half against Man U, times in the game against Wolves, even that we got our first win in the second half, where we've had spells where we've been on top. They've been few and far between this season, but that was the most complete 90-minute performance. And just the fact that we looked so solid, it was a bit of a harking back to, again, I'm going back in the past and maybe hoping for more, but it reminded me of the performance when we beat Palace at the Lane in our first Premier League game under Wilder, in that we pretty much controlled it, didn't give them a sniff, and probably 1-0 flattered them. And yeah, by far the best performance.
I like how Johnny sniffed when you said the word sniff. It's 3D broadcasting.
Yeah, brilliant.
We're doing now. I've also got Mark here with us, Dazed Blade, as people might know you as, and of course can follow you on social media for that. It's been a while. It's good to see you again, my friend. How you been?
Good to see you too, Hal. Yeah, I've been good. I'm obviously like loads better now. The Wilder's bringing kind of the Blades back to us. You're going to ask me the same question, I presume, right? How do I think of that performance? Look, you know what? 100% the best performance this season. I think Paul touched on it just then. A couple of decent performances where we had a good half here and a good half there. I loved the performance at Spurs when we dug in and were unlucky to concede two so late on, for example. But yeah, the pressing like all the way through the 90 minutes yesterday was just top, wasn't it? And then if anything, we should have just scored more goals. We needed to score more goals. And I think we whipped the ball around the back of the defenders a couple of times. And I haven't seen us do that all season, right? I think Ben Mee had put in a couple of last-ditch tackles to get there. And then Slimane hit the keeper, didn't he, from like about 4 yards out. Those sort of moments, I've not seen them all season. So, yeah, 100% the best performance of the season so far.
It feels like we are seeing something that gives us a bit of hope, and it is the hope that kills you, but let's focus on positives. Johnny, I want to talk about one major incident because we're going to go through the game, but in that first half, I think we have to talk about what should have been a red card for Onyeka on Sousa. I mean, I'll just explain it briefly, how I saw it, and then I'll get your opinions, but Onyeka should have been booked, arguably for a foul before on Brooks, for a foul on Archer, then goes in with studs on Sousa high on the ankle. I feel if Onyeka had been cautioned by the referee earlier, particularly for the foul on Archer, he wouldn't have made that dangerous challenge on Sousa. And I was really pleased to see that Sousa was actually able to continue. What did you make of all of that, Johnny?
It was a red card. It was a straight red card, in my view. Dangerous, studs are up, and he's not really in control of the tackle, is he? And by the very definition, it is a red card. It is a red card. I think we've seen some very, very puzzling VAR decisions, a lot of them against us this season. And this is one of them. Again, if that was us against Liverpool the other night, and let's say Sousa does that to Mo Salah, it's a red card. And we all know it is. And all I want is some consistency with refereeing. They're not going to get every decision right, but let's at least have some consistency, because that challenge to me was a blatant red.
It was, and Travelling Blade, I'm amazed, has joined us.
He's alive!
After a win. I didn't expect to see you, to be honest. How are you feeling? Can you speak? Are you going to be sick in a little bin?
It's I'm feeling considerably better than I did last time. A bit of a sore throat because I'm not used to cheering as much this season, so I'm out of practice in terms of celebrating goals. But yeah, another heavy night out on the town with Roy. So I'm amazed I'm here, to be fair. So here we are. But United have won. Jesus, what's going on?
Roy's the name of the family dog for us, so I always picture something completely different.
He was there too as well.
Oh, good. Roy's he's a menace, that dog, I'd say. That
Which
cockapoo. He can really sink them. Now, Travelling, I want to get your opinion as halftime approached. How about that McAtee goal? I mean, really, where does that stand for you? Where does it stack up when we talk about great goals at the Lane?
Well, at first when I was watching it live, I actually was thinking, "Oh, did he mean it? Did he mean it?" And but then I watched it back, and he definitely did. Absolutely incredible goal. Not one. The fact that we actually scored sort of a proper goal. It wasn't a penalty. Own goal wasn't involved this time. That's a nice surprise. But yeah, absolutely incredible finish from McAtee. The fact that actually we actually also, what's good about it is the fact that we played well enough to actually afford him a bit of time and space. The fact that we could actually string some passes together that well and create the chance in the first place. Obviously it wasn't obviously, not the greatest chance in terms of it with an absolute sitter. So it'd be nice to score a few more goals that are perhaps easier finishes as well to really show how well we're playing. But the fact we played well enough to afford him a bit of time and space to cut back onto his left and finish with such aplomb, absolutely amazing. I don't think it's quite Lee Evans' volley, but it's up there.
Yeah, it was. It was a really, really nice goal. And we'll talk about McAtee. Mark Daysblade scored twice, McAtee, last month for England under-21s in a 3-0 win against Serbia. How important will McAtee be in the run-in?
Well, like you look at how he's played in the last couple of games, and I think, first of all, first half yesterday, he didn't really have a great game, I don't think, first half. Not in an attacking sense. And then he just does one special moment, right? And we haven't really had that many players, or we can't afford that many players in our first 11 that can do that sort of thing. So, and we haven't got that many in our squad really either, have we? So yeah, he's going to be important. I think we need someone who can create something. A couple of passes he's made in the last couple of games have been outstanding. You don't see that coming from our team from many other players, really. So the passing, the way he's incisive passing, the way he gets balls in, feeds them through behind the back line, and a goal out of nothing like he scored in the first half yesterday. And then the second half, he was amazing, wasn't he? Just an outlet when they were pushing forward. The creativity he's got, you don't see that often, and he works hard as well. He gets back. That first half, I said he didn't do much offensively, but he was getting back and covering in a right back position a lot of the time as well. So yeah, 100%. We need him. We need players like him, and yeah, he's going to be really important to keep him fit and keep him in that first 11, I think.
Yeah, he absolutely is. What a style, what a goal, what a great strike. And Trey the Blade is now joining us, and it's a pleasure to have you on, Chris, who I'm probably going to refer to you as, to be honest, through most of this. Do you think Wilder can get the best then out of James McAtee?
I hope so. I hope so. I thought, again, agree with Days. It was a bit of a quiet first half until obviously that bit of magic. But I felt in the second half he sort of came more central a little bit. He's almost a luxury player, isn't he? In a way, he's not going to be the sort of person who's doing all the hard tackling and stuff like that. But you could just see exactly what sort of quality he's got. Running at players. We don't have many of them about nowadays, obviously, since Ndai left as well. And I hope Wilder can get the best out of him. That tends to be what he does. He gets the best out of players, even if they're not the best quality. He does seem to make them play for the shirt, which is exactly why we're also happy he's back, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. I will ask you this then, Chris, while I've got you here. And it is something that Travelling actually mentioned. It's sort of implied, certainly anyway, from what Travelling said, that it was a screamer. It was a goal that isn't one that is a repeatable pattern. It is something that just happened, a moment of magic. It's not a training ground manoeuvre, for example. Now, are you slightly concerned that we really didn't put Brentford to bed, and had it not been that moment of magic, we could be talking about a 0-0 draw where we dominated the game? We're going to have to create goals, and actually it feels like this season that is one of the areas we're lacking, is scoring goals regularly, consistently, getting 2-3 in a game. Is that something that worries you going further forward?
Yeah, the killer touch, the final pass, the final shot. There was a few times, even in the Liverpool game as well, actually, where we're thinking, just shoot, just take a shot. So you never know what's going to happen. And as you see, when we do take shots from outside the box, we've actually scored a few like that this season. Archer, similarly, he scored that goal against Everton, 2 almost, the one that came off Pickford's back, just by having a shot from further out. And I feel like if we take a few more like that, then we'll be okay. But you're right, we need more quality chances in the box. I mean, Slimane towards the end, shall we get to that little cameo? But when he got into the box, thought perfect. But that was almost the opposite. It was like maybe he should have passed a bit more, like just cut that back a little bit.
Yes.
But it was getting in the right positions, I suppose. So it's promising signs, but we need more of that. We need more quality chances because we can't rely on long shots all the time.
No, absolutely. I'll get to Slimane. Actually, I've got some thoughts on that. But Paul, Osula, as we know, Osula, he is so cooler. But he was subbed on 53, and I've got my opinion on Osula's performance. But I'd like to know, Paul, what did you make of Will Osula? And I'm not just asking in this Brentford game, but let's look at that Liverpool performance because we didn't do a fans react to that one.
Well, first of all, when you come across from Cyprus, Al, you need to try and get that chant going on the cop. I think it's got legs.
Yeah. I did try and get that going last game I was at a few games ago, and wasn't catching on for some reason. I've got a great one about Slimane as well, which I can share with you later.
Oh, I can't wait! But so Osula, without being horrible, I think he was our weakest player yesterday, and that's not a slight against him because we had so many great performances across the pitch. And he did lead the line. His physical presence up front. He has got some pace, but at the minute he doesn't seem to make the right sort of run, and the ball just doesn't seem to stick to him very well. He is good foil because it means Archer doesn't have to lead the line, and he can't do that at all. He can come a little bit deeper, and actually that's improved his game. But I think next week McBurney comes back in. And had Jefferson been fit, he's above him in the pecking order. But he's definitely got a lot of raw materials there. You saw when he had that snapshot yesterday, when he got the ball, it was fantastic bit of control. And then he hit it first time. And he's got a really good strike on him. He just needs to get a little bit smarter. And I know it's easy to hark back and say, some players make it, some don't. But he reminds me a lot of Calvert-Lewin when he first came through, where he's got the raw materials, but he probably didn't quite have the finish on him or that tactical nous, but he'll put himself about and work hard, which for the role he's playing is great at this moment in time. I think January, loan him to a lower championship club, get him some game time, if we can afford to do that, if we've got Jebo back, if we've got the players in, because that's what he needs. He needs to play professional football to almost get game smart, but certainly he's got something. He's got strength, he's got pace, and I think he's going to be, at the very least, a top championship striker in the future. So.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. He's got all the raw tools. Now, Johnny, second half, Slimane had a great chance. It was on 82 minutes. We've already mentioned this, but I think he picked the wrong option with men either side of him opening the box. He actually chose a tight angle near post. But I think that would be unfair to be the only thing we remember of Anis Ben Slimane's cameo. What did you make of him, Johnny?
Where has he been? Why has he
Yeah.
not been playing? Who did he hurt? Who has he offended in the changing room? Because why has he not been playing? Came on, showed exactly why he should have been there. When his first touch of the ball, where if he just put it either side, it's a goal. But I think that harkens back to the fact that we are very low on confidence in front of goal. You look at Osula, and to me, I think he's better than Jefferson. I think he could be the future of the club up front. He's very Brian Dean-esque with the way he touches the ball sometimes. But even himself, they're all very unconfident in front of goal. Archer, if he'd put that other one on the side of the keeper, that's another goal. Once we start getting goals, you'll see better. And Slimane coming on, and with his first touch of the ball, shows this is maybe one bloke that isn't low on confidence. The way he took that shot off and hit it to the side, the way he was having the ball and carrying it, the way he was just not scared of putting a foot in and getting a challenge in, a bit like Sousa was. And where has he been? Why has he not been playing? Somebody out there tell me why he's not been playing, because he could be that missing piece in the middle that we've been screaming for.
Where has he been? I actually put that on social media not so long ago. And as you know, anything I share on social media does come with its own criticisms. And there was a number of people saying, if he was good enough, he would have been playing by now. Well, we saw that. We saw that with Trusty as well, didn't we? He wasn't initially considered first choice. I think Trusty's proven that. I'd go as far as to say I think Trusty will be a future captain. But travelling, let's go to you. Let's talk about the youngsters. Peck, Ryan One was on the bench, Brooks. What's this new look Chris Wilder youth approach all about? Because I don't recognise this Chris Wilder.
Well, he's got no option, has he? Everyone's either injured or got a red card or booked on yellow. So it's just sort of it's them or the fans. So I think it's good to see. I think that's one of the things that just sort of, I know it's like harping back, but I think Hecky did right. Was always, even last season, the season before, whatever, there was always a good amount of youth involvement in the team. So it's good to see that obviously we're talking a lot about the amount of players, first teamers and all that are going to be out of contract in the summer. So obviously I think it's also, joking aside, I think it is also out of necessity as well, not just in the short term with the injuries, but in the long term going forward, the fact that we're going to have, we might lose a lot of players or struggle to retain a lot of players. So there are, a lot of these youngsters that are going to have to step up, and whatever league we are in next season, being, not just on the bench, but be involved in the first team as well. But it's good to see, obviously Andre Brooks is a bit of a raw talent as well, a bit of a rough diamond at the minute, but there's definitely a spark there that I think obviously the more he plays, I'm not actually sure how old these players are. I think like One's like 17 or 18 or something. I don't know. He's really young, I think. But I think with Andre Brooks, yeah, there's definitely someone. If he keeps playing first team football in the Premier League, that's where he's going to get his maturity, and he's going to be might be a little bit naive at the minute, but that's where he's going to get his experience, his maturity, his wisdom, and could be a really, really exciting player for us in the coming years.
Paul Taylor makes a good point. Maybe Wilder looks back on his last spell and thinks he didn't let the youngsters loose enough. I mean, he gave Hackford his chance, but only briefly against Palace away. But actually, I think we're probably thinking about Iliman Ndiaye. And I remember that Paul Heckingbottom's first game when he came in as interim boss, Leicester City away, he threw Ndiaye in as a sub, and that was his debut. And we were thinking back then, why have we not seen Ndiaye? And we might be thinking the same thing. Now, perhaps Wilder has learned from that, but perhaps there just wasn't the quality at that time, and now they've matured and they're ready. And of course, there's certain arguments either side, because he did give another Brooks a chance. We can't forget that. And David Brooks, what a player he proved to be and still is. Mark, I think we should mention a couple of things. One, I just want to say, yes, Jack Robinson is suspended for Chelsea. We'll talk about that. But Baldock, George Baldock, why am I talking about him? Well, bit more of a tough time getting straight back in, as many would suspect, after Bogle's recent form, would you say?
I love Baldock. I think he's a great talisman, and when he's on the pitch, the energy levels seem to go up. So yeah, I've got a lot of good things to say about Baldock, but I think as a manager, you can't change if Bogle's. I didn't know Bogle could defend like that. I think he's been defending really well. He's been getting in the right positions, just putting himself between the attacker and the goal, and he's just done it consistently for 2 games. It's early days. I want to see it more consistently. I want to see him carry that on. But I don't think as a manager you should be changing the side. When someone's doing well in the first 11, you should reward them with another run, right? So I don't think you can change it. But yeah, it's great to have 2 fit right backs, isn't it? I mean, we've been struggling for defenders for seems like 2 seasons. So I mean, what a difficult choice he's got.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have. We've got a million left backs and 2 right backs, and they're both seemingly now as good as each other as they were previously. There was a genuine debate before. We've had this debate as long as Baldock's been here with us. Kieran Freeman or Baldock, and he's fought them all off, and he's usually ended up as the number 1 guy. But we'll see what happens there. And let's talk about Brentford as a team, because Chris, I think we'd be unfair if we didn't mention them. What did you make of them?
I was fairly surprised that I thought they'd be, I don't know what's the word, a bit stronger, a bit more. I think on Match of the Day they said something like they're not seeing many teams outwork Brentford. And
I saw them against Luton, and Brentford destroyed Luton in terms of work rate, and I thought that's what we'd see. It's a good point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm trying to think if there's probably, I've not seen the stats, a couple of shots on target. Maybe up until the last 5 minutes or so, and there was one of them where he was on the turn and that spin, almost like a box kick almost over his shoulder. But I was really surprised that they didn't hurt us more. I understand Wilder's made it a bit more solid, and that's great. I saw that against Liverpool that we have and maybe it spoke more about that than their quality. It's more that we've actually stepped up to the plate defensively. Not to say that we were completely. I think the more the chances they had, there was slips and miscommunications between Wes and the. There's a couple of times where I thought he should have shouted maybe, and that the only bits that really scared me. I don't think they actually worried us too much, which surprised me.
Really surprised me. So this one I'm going to throw at all of you. So let's make it really busy. Traveling, and don't none of you get influenced or swayed by what you're going to hear. Traveling, who is your man of the match?
Bogle.
Okay, I think you might be on a traveling Blade Island, but I'm prepared to be wrong. Mark?
Hammer.
Really? That's the new pronunciation of his name.
Well, you tell everyone how to pronounce it, don't you, Hal? So,
I got it.
Goose.
I said Hamer. I said Harbour. Let's go with Hammer. No one's saying that. Johnny?
For me, it's got to be Garth Brooks. The kid was sensational, and long may it continue.
What do you think, Johnny, of his song?
Which one? Brooks will tear you apart.
Exactly, Brooks will tear you apart. Yeah.
I mean, I'm always for recycling a good song. As long as it fits, I don't mind. But as long as we keep getting an excuse to sing it, I'll be even happier.
Yeah. I mean, I first remember that song with, I think, Undlove.
I didn't remember it with Undlove. I remember it with the what was it now? With Jordan Slew. Slew will tear you apart, which was kind of weird.
He must have sung that for all of his 2 games. I can remember.
Burton away for half an hour, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks again, Blackburn.
What about nutmegs? What about that nutmeg?
On that, Unlove is obviously original and the best because it works with the original song. But I like the chant. It's good. Let's recycle it for Brooksy. But my man of the match, again, probably different to everyone else, which says how good the team played. I'd say Archer was my man of the match. Not only did he work unbelievably hard for the entire game till he came off, he had things that I didn't believe he had in his game in terms of being able to hold it up, being able to hold off strong defenders and bring others into the game. I thought he was fantastic for us in that role. Really great.
On his 22nd birthday, I wished him happy birthday. He said, thanks. He's a man of few words. Chris, man of the match.
Yeah, Paul, I think stole my thunder there. I was going to say Archer as well. The strength that he showed, I didn't think he had. We always say his finishing is his best quality, I think. But actually, the way he held the ball up and brought us into play, a couple of good passes as well. I was really, really impressed. But Brooks took a close second for me. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of contenders and an all-round really strong performance. So, Jack Robinson suspended for Chelsea. Paul, how much of a blow is that? And I also want you to tell me who comes in.
It's a massive blow, isn't it? Because he's probably been our best defender this season by far, really. Trusty's come in and done a great job. And yesterday we saw NL have his best performance that he's had this season. It was back to the NL of old. So it's a shame that we're going to have to already break that back three up. I reckon that what he'll probably do is bring Baldock in and play, if Baldock is fit, and play Baldock and Bogle in the same lineup. And I think that's what he'll go with. But it is going to be a big miss. We have got, it sounds silly this, but we've got McBurney coming back in, and he's so dominant from a defensive viewpoint from set plays. So playing someone who's a little bit shorter in that back line like Baldock won't be too much of a problem from set plays and the like, because we'll have McBurney back there defending. But yeah, it's going to be a big loss, because not only has he been the best defender, he's been a bit of a heartbeat of the team. Even in the worst games, he's tried to get us going. And we'll miss Jackie Longthrow at Chelsea away. That could be, one of our key assists over there. So in the training ground this week, they need to get Bogle working on them long throws, I think.
Yeah, I've not been that impressed with Jack Robinson's long throws for some time. I think they seem to always be too close to the keeper. And I think they are a weapon, but they've got to be mixed up a little bit more. I really think we can get a lot more out of them. You saw what Rory Delap did, and Challoner at Tranmere. Now I'm showing my age.
Andy Legg at Notts County.
Legg,
do you remember him?
yeah, and Birmingham City, Andy Legg, of course. Travelling, no idea what we're talking about. But, I will ask you this question, because Paul's just mentioned it. He just said McBurney comes back in. Well, let me ask you this. He probably does, but does he? Because Slimane could have made a case that if you put Archer up top with Slimane behind, maybe with another player, that could work, because I think Archer is an over-the-shoulder, ball-over-the-top pace merchant, and perhaps offers you more as an attacking threat as a lone striker. What do you think?
Well, bring McBurney in at centre back. I think he's got the chops. He can pull it off. He likes to tackle. He likes to stamp. Get him in. But,
or Sousa, as it's just been suggested.
I think as well, though. I think perhaps if we played it correctly, if we played it well enough, I think McBurney could work well with Archie in terms of winning the flick-ons and that and so on. So just gives Archie a bit more time to make that run forward while the ball's on its way to McBurney for him to flick it on towards Archer. So, and I think also it might be a game. I think obviously it's going to be a much harder game. I know Chelsea haven't been at their best this season, but a lot of skill, a lot of very talented players. And I don't know if Osula's got sort of the maturity or the experience that McBurney can offer in games like this. So I think I'd still be inclined to start McBurney over Osula at Chelsea away for the experience. And I think also, as I said, I think it could work with Archer in terms of play it up to McBurney. He holds it up, flicks it on through to Archer. So, and I think as well, joking aside, we might be a bit under the cosh. So if we've got plenty of corners and crosses coming in, the only person that can actually head the ball away is Ollie McBurney. So we need him in.
But it's a slower back line at Chelsea. So I like the Archer thought there. Johnny, here's another one for you. Oliver Arblaster. January's coming up. Would you recall a player who's doing very well with the Valiants of Port Vale?
I very much indeed would. I'd just bring him back. I'd get him away, getting him some game time. Yeah, it was the right thing to do at the time. But he's doing well. We are short on options down there. If Osula picks per knock, if Burnley gets sent off again or picks per knock, we're fast running down to the bare bones. And I think bringing Arblaster back would be a good idea. Having McBurney there, as Ben said, holding the ball up so McAtee and Archer can just go bump as it plays on there. But then with Arblaster, you've got a different kind of striker there. You've got a different kind of forward player there. He can also come out. I think he can pull back and link up and behind the strikers as well. I think he could do something very, very different and free up other players. So why not bring him back and give yourself a B option? Give yourself a kind of rotation option, because we are going to lose legs if we're going to play with this intensity. We're going to get knackered quick. So I'd just bring him back. I think that getting him in and around the squad, get to know the players, getting that familiarity with the dressing room, it can hurt no one, but it can have endless benefits.
Interesting. Yeah, I think we'll see when we get to see more of Oliver Arblaster. We'll have an idea of exactly where he's going to fit in and where he's going to play for Sheffield United. Whether it'll
Do you see him as like an out-and-out striker?
No, not at all. I think I'd see
Me
him more
neither.
as a central midfielder. Possibly we'll see him more linking up with. Maybe he'll even find later on as his career goes, he might even drop deeper. But I haven't seen enough of him to comment in this. It's never stopped me before commenting on a video. But I'd still like to see a little bit more of Arblaster. And I'd personally leave him for the rest of the season because it's just going so well. And we are talking after one win. And what I wouldn't want is for him to come back and let's say we go on a little bit of a bad run. And there is a reason I'm mentioning this. I'm going to read through our fixtures in just a second. And I don't want him to lose confidence because at the moment, Arblaster's confidence is sky high. So, Chris, Chelsea, Villa, Luton, Manchester City. Those are our next 4 games. I mean, when I read those out, what do you think?
I was ready to go and hide under the bed sheets a week and a half ago. It was just, I just couldn't see anything other than 5-0, 5-0, 1-0, 5-0, something along those lines. But, well, since that performance against Liverpool, it gives me a little bit more hope. I mean, if we get a couple of points out of, take Luton out of it, I think we need to be looking to win that game. But if we get a couple of points out of Chelsea, Villa, City, I mean, that'll be fantastic. They're all away from home, all difficult places to go. Villa in particular, I think they've won 15 in a row. I just can't see us getting anything, but I'm more confident than I was under Hecky. I think we've got a bit more pace in the team now, though, for counter-attacks. I think the players have always been there, but I feel like there's more energy amongst them in the last week or two. So maybe we can hurt them on the counter. It's something that we've not done properly for a while, but maybe that is something we could do with, Archer and now you got Brooks and Osula, the energy they bring, possibly. I can't see it, but maybe. I'm being hopeful. I'm very optimistic usually.
You've got to be. Travelling, how many points are we getting then from those 4 games? Chelsea, Villa, Luton, Manchester City.
I mean, Chelsea, I think I'd be over the moon with a point. I think Villa and City are probably write-offs, if I'm being honest at this point. It's mad that we're talking about Villa being an absolute write-off, but they're brilliant. Fair play to them. If only that goal had counted that we scored, they'd be in the Championship still. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, we'd be exactly where they are. I'm convinced of that.
I think we should need to get at least 4 from those 4 games.
And you'd be happy with that?
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of like happy and realistic. I think we need to beat Luton. Definitely, that's a really big game. The fact it is a big game is quite nice because I think the way we were carrying on, it'd have been irrelevant, as every game would have been dead and buried. But now we've actually got a little bit of something to fight for, a bit of hope, So there is, albeit very, very slim and anemic, there is still a chance of staying up. But I think Villa and City are probably right off. So I think if we can get a point on the road out of those away games, I'll go with 4-5 points out of those, really.
All right. Mark, I want to talk about Wes before we close, and then I'm going to ask you all another big question. But there's been a few people saying that Wilder will likely get a new goalkeeper in. There's actually been some rumours linking us with a few keepers, and we've had this comment. Thought Wes was the only weak point. His command of the box wasn't great, hesitant to collect crosses, seemed phased, was Morpay blocking him. Otherwise, brilliant. Your thoughts on our number 1 goalkeeper?
Did that just say terrible, otherwise brilliant? I don't understand. I think, look, on League One, Wes, he's been with us a while now. I think he's been brilliant for us, to be honest. I think, just like our strikers, he's lacking a bit of confidence. He's just been battered over the last few games, the last 2, barring those. But I don't know. I don't think we're looking at. I think we've been linked with a young Danish keeper. I think he's 24. He's got a long career ahead of him still. If that's true, and it is a big if, I think we do need backup. And I think that's probably what it is. That's all it is. I don't think we should be throwing Wes under the bus here. He's done all right. He's made a couple of mistakes. Keepers do. I think they get exaggerated when they do. And yeah, he has looked a bit hesitant sometimes. But I mean, look, we've had some brilliant keepers over the years, and we've had some terrible ones. Wes is not a terrible one. He's pretty good. So I'm happy to stick with Wes. And I think what we've seen over the last couple of years, when we went down that last time, I think the Prince said we need to bring more youth into the roster. I think he called it. The roster's getting a bit old, so we need some youngsters in there. And I think that's we've just let go of one of our keepers, I believe, haven't we? Who's is it Dewhurst? Has he been let go?
Marcus Dewhurst.
So I think we need to either bring someone up through the youth, and if that's not happening, bring someone in at that sort of age. It's normal to have your first choice keeper plus a couple of others buzzing around. One of them being younger, and So I don't see it as a problem bringing in a keeper. I don't think that necessarily puts Wes under too much pressure. I think the back line and the midfield three there the last couple of games have been pretty solid and been protecting them a lot better than they have over the last several games before that. So I think Wes, he's not doing bad for me. It's not all his fault. I think he's doing all right, and let's back him. Let's back him. He's our number one, I still think.
If you are wondering, the goalkeeper that was briefly referenced there is Lyngby goalkeeper Mads Kickenborg. He's 6'6". He's 24 years old, 18 appearances for Danish side Brøndby. And he conceded 29 goals and kept 3 clean sheets. I do have a few people that help me out with things like this. If you wonder how I get kind of information when I do the videos. So I have spoken to a Brøndby fan who's also a journalist and has given me some feedback on him. But we're not going to talk about that now because I will have a video about that if we actually sign him. Instead, let's make it messy. Let's talk about this big one. Chris, where are Sheffield United finishing this season?
I think we're going to pick up a lot more points than we were going to a few weeks ago. I think we might finish 18th. I've not seen much from Burnley other than the 5-0 hammering they gave us. I don't know with Luton, they've got a lot of fight, but I don't think we'll get out of it. Unfortunately, I think we're giving ourselves too much to do, but I think we'll finish 18th.
18th. Mark, what are you saying?
Bottom 5, but if you asked me a couple of weeks ago, I'd have said rock bottom. So I have to agree with Trey. I think their 18th is probably where I'd go for, where I'm thinking we'll land. I'm really hoping for 17th or above, though, obviously, right? But yeah, we'll see.
We all are. It's going to be difficult. We need teams around us to stop picking up points. If they could do that, that would be great. Paul,
we need to beat Luton.
Yeah. Luton.
The spirit of Bassett's Christmas Blades. We'll go on a fantastic run in January and finish about 14th, hopefully. But realistically, I think we can be fourth bottom. I do. And I will put this out here now. We will finish above Nottingham Forest.
Wow. Let's timestamp that and I can clip that at the end of the season if it's true. If it's not, we'll pretend that was never said. Because it's the last thing I need after pointing out a few things about Notts Forest last season and the season before is more Forest fans in my mentions. Johnny,
let's get Notts Forest fans. Riled up. Sounds good to me.
Johnny.
Well, I've just spent 5 minutes talking about Louis Marsh when you asked me about LAR Blaster, so what do I know? So
I was slightly confused when you were talking about being a striker. But you know what? It's not my place to pull you up.
You should have done, because I've just spent 5 minutes thinking, what am I talking? No, wrong player. But
do you like how I very sort of politely described how we're not 100% sure of his final position? Where I could have said, I don't know what you're talking about.
It was very nice of you. Ole Blaster, keep him at Port Vale. Anyway, where we're going to finish? 15th. We're going to finish 15th. Burnley bottom. Notts are going to finish at bottom 3, and it's that final one I'm not sure of. But you know how I feel about Burnley. You know how I feel about us. On paper, we're a far better team. That 5-0 was down to where we were being, the way we were being managed, where we were setting up, and where the confidence was. If we carry on playing like we are now, 15th is realistic, and bye-bye Burnley. And
what are your thoughts on Louis Marsh?
I think he's a very good player, and I think everything I just said before, that's what I think we should do with Louis Marsh, and our Blaster should stay at Port Vale, where he's doing very well.
Travelling.
I'll bring it down. I think we're going to finish 18th or 19th. I agree with Trey the Blade. I think, like everyone said, obviously we're going to pick up a lot more points than we would have done. But realistically, when you start looking above that relegation zone, we're not as good as the rest of the teams outside the relegation zone. I think Luton are probably still, from what I've seen of them, probably still finish above us. I think we'll finish above Burnley. But it's still early days, obviously. If we can carry on like we did yesterday, we've got every chance of fighting for that 17th place. But as it stands with injuries, I don't think we ain't got 2 coins to scratch together in January. So I think we've got the players that we've got. Most of them are injured or not good enough or very, very inexperienced. So I'm still looking at 18th, 19th realistically.
Should have ended on Paul. Oh, well. I want to thank all of you for watching. I want to thank the panel. You were great. And remember, you can get all of these Fans Reacts as an audio podcast. Make sure you are subscribed to Sheffield United Way wherever you get your podcasts. All of you, thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.